I would like now to introduce Shaeah to come up and talk about her book. And oh gosh, now I have to come up with words. I wanted to say something too about that song, and just that we can. It's so, community is so important, and this community has been is very loving and supportive, and has supported Shaeah and many others, and it's a very special thing, we have to reach out sometimes, and to be connected. So anyway, I will now introduce Shaeah. You, Shaeah, are a bright light and inspire me with your essence, your expression, your raw sharing and vulnerability and willingness to be completely real and authentic and reveal your own personal journey so that it may be witnessed and touch others. And that takes a lot of courage, and not everybody can offer that kind of gift to the world, and you do. And thank you for being you. I love you. That's all. I know a lot of your people love you as well, so let's all give Shaeah a beautiful welcome.
Thank you, Theda. Give her another round of applause. That was amazing. Yeah, talk about light and gift and spirit and beauty and heart and soul. Yes, I feel very honored and blessed to have such an incredible friend and sister as Theda. And so thank you again, all of you, for being here, and those of you who have arrived since just recently. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And so yeah, part of this evening is to celebrate the launch of my book, which just came out in June, 3 days before I moved back to Cortes, actually. So I was like, is it going to arrive in time? Is it going to arrive in time? And it did, and it's beautiful. I'm very happy with it. My editor said actually it was the most beautiful book she has ever seen. So I was very touched by that. So I'm very happy with that it came to be, and it was quite the journey to get here, to get to completing a book. I don't know if any of you have worked on creative projects. I know some of you have, and know what it's like to. It's like giving birth, right? It's like, you conceive and the seed is planted from somewhere and it grows and it forms and you have no idea what it's going to look like when it comes out, and you just hope that when it does, that it is a gift and blesses and is safe and touches people, right, and connects with people, and so that has been my journey. And so I just wanted to talk a bit about how it came to be. Some people have been asking me, how did you come to write this book? So for at least about 10 years, there was like, you have to write a book, you have to write a book. Like, there was this voice in me, and all these ideas would come, and but it wouldn't happen, or I'd write some words, or it just wouldn't come to completion or fruition. And then my first year on Cortes Island was an incredible year. It was a real blessing to come to this place. I had gone through a bit of a challenging time, a midlife crisis, as some people might say, a spiritual crisis, and was assessing where to be. Where am I called to be? What am I meant to be doing with my life? And so I went through a process of like, what's important to me? What makes me happy? What are my values? Where can I find that? where does that exist? And I was like in this inquiry. And one day this voice came, and it was really clear, Hollyhock, at Cortes Island. And sure enough, they were hiring body worker and yoga teacher, and I came here, and it just, everything flowed with ease once I made that decision. And thanks, Elizabeth, for making that possible. Elizabeth was one of the ones who made that possible by hiring me. And so I came here and had the most amazing summer of my life. As you know, a lot of you have just experienced what summer on Cortes is like. And we had a very special summer this year. And so I had spent that summer and then went into the winter and decided to stay on Cortes for the winter, to just be in my healing, deep in my healing. And I went to my mom's for a little retreat to look after her farm. She lives in northern Alberta. And I decided to do a 5-day solo meditation retreat on my own. And so I did the Vipassana, which is you meditate from early morning to late at night. And you break for meals, and I broke for a walking meditation once or twice a day and yoga once a day. And other than that, I sat and meditated. And it was hard and painful and torturous and beautiful and challenging and amazing. And at the end of that, the very next day, I started writing this book. And it was time. It was like it needed to come. And as I was sharing with Eric earlier, it's just like when some of you know when this creative force needs to come through, it needs to come through. And so it did. And so I had no idea what it was going to be about. I had no intention, I'm going to write a book about this, or I'm going to share this great message to the world, or I had no idea. I just was like, I don't know what this is going to be, I'm just going to start. I just know I need to do this. And so I made a commitment to write every day for at least 30 minutes. And so I did. And some days I wrote for hours, and some days I was waiting for the timer to go off. And some days I didn't get my act together and I would miss, or in some weeks I would miss, and then I would recommit. And so that was my journey. And that's what the book is about. The book is about the journey of life and that natural unfolding of the mystery of who we are, and what comes from living life from that raw, authentic place. Like this evening, my partner was like, so what are you gonna do tonight? I'm like, I don't know. And he asked me like a few times, like, so now, do you know what you're gonna do tonight? I'm like, nope. He's like, wow, I don't know how you do that. And I'm like, it's just the way I am. It's the way I have to be, actually, because when I do plan, I was telling him if I were planning it, I'd be getting all like anxious and nervous and wound up and like tight, and I'd like show up like this, and I'd be like, hi everybody, I'm so glad you came. I had a really great evening ahead of you. Let me tell you. Like, that's how it would be. And I was sharing with him that my very first yoga class, I planned it all, because, as a yoga teacher, they teach you, plan your class, have the asanas that you're going to do, and step by step. And so I planned my first class, and I hated it. I was just, I felt it was awful. It was an awful experience. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to just let that go. In the next class, I didn't plan it, and I loved it. And I never planned a yoga class ever since then. And that's just, some people are like that. Some people need to plan things, and some people, that's how they thrive, is with that structure. And some of us need to just be in the moment and allow the natural unfolding of who we are to come in the moment, like Theda's amazing song, right? Like, and that's the journey of this book is, and it's written from my heart to yours. And that's the title of the book came to me as I was writing it. I was like, oh, yeah, because that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm like feeling out to people and needing to express myself. And so that's what the book is about. And sometimes it covers some really sensitive and dark and hard times, and sometimes it covers some incredible, amazing, blessing, beautiful, magical times, and because it's the human experience. This book is just being human. And yeah, so it's and it was such an amazing process for me to actually complete it, because that's been one of my challenges, and that's part of the journey too. And so for those of you who have read it, you've have said you've resonated with some of the challenges I express, or some of the questions. I'm also like a very I question things a lot. Like I am in constant like contemplation or inquiry, like inquiring about myself and about life and my place on this planet, and why are things the way they are, and why aren't they this way, and why, so and I did Ruth Ozeki's book writing retreat last summer at Hollyhock, and I discovered at that retreat that that's one of the qualities of a writer, is that quality of questioning. I was like, oh, thank God, there's, I found a place, like, this is what, when you think there's something wrong with you, and you're like, oh no, this can serve a purpose. So there you go. That's my story about the book, and I would love to share a little bit about it. So if anyone wants to just yell out a page number between 1 and 277. 77? Okay, I'll go with 77 first. And I just realized I didn't bring my glasses, but that's okay. Oh, how fascinating. Someone was, this guy, I haven't even, what is your name, by the way?
Yeah, Dan.
Dan. So Dan shows up and he's like, where's the author? Where's the author? He's like, what's your Enneagram? I'm like, what do you think it is? So we had this, we actually didn't get to the end of it, but anyway, the section I open up to, yeah, that would be great. Thank you. I'm still in a bit of denial of needing glasses. Thanks, Claudia. Oh yeah, much better. Okay, so is anyone here familiar with what the Enneagram is?
Yeah.
Yeah? Anyone not familiar with what Enneagram is? Okay, so part of my book, which I feel is really cool, is it's an educational tool as well. I educate people about things that I use in my life, like yoga, meditation, systems that support me. So one of them, because Theda has been teaching me a lot about the Enneagram, because it can inform us a lot about our personalities and our ways of being that maybe are challenging and can bring us more perspective, right? So the Enneagram, I do these little things that tell you what things are. The Enneagram is a model of human personality, which is principally used as a typology of 9 interconnected personality types. Principally developed by Oscar Ichazo and Claudio Naranjo, it is also partly based on earlier teachings of G.R. Gurdjieff. In spirituality, it is commonly presented as a path to higher states of being, essence, and enlightenment. It has been described as a method for self-understanding and self-development. Like astrology, all these things provide reflections and help us to understand ourselves more. So, okay. I had a lovely walk through the woods down to the maple tree, which is a special spot on the ocean. I sat, walked, and lay in the sun for hours. It was beautiful. Eagles soared overhead. A heron landed nearby. The sun was warm, and the sound of the ocean soothing. Yet I still couldn't shake that feeling of discontent. I wondered if it was my Enneagram imprinting. According to my friend, Theda, I'm a 7 in the Enneagram, and we are chronically discontented and seeking the next thrill. This is an ongoing theme in my life for sure. I have since discovered that I am actually a 4 in the Enneagram, which is described as being a moody dreamer and hopeless romantic in search of true love. Definitely fitting. Wink. Like all systems, these tools are available for guidance and assistance, but not to be taken as absolute truth. I believe that the truth of who we are is beyond all systems. I also remember having a fascinating thought while I was walking through the woods, which was that I seemed to need my value affirmed by either receiving money or male attention. If I'm not getting either, I don't feel valuable. I feel worthless or unimportant somehow, like I need either money or men to feel validated. Yeah, I feel I'm onto something because those are the two ongoing biggest challenges I face in life: money and men. Some of you are probably saying, yeah, so you and most other women on this planet. Or do they? Probably. Fascinating. I don't mean to come across as a man-hater or anything, but wasn't it men who created money? Don't get me wrong, I love men. Crazy about them, in fact. More like obsessed over them. And I know many men who are as unhappy with the economic system as I am. In fact, it was 3 men who inspired me to do the experiment I'm doing right now around money. So to give you a little bit of background, I was in the middle of an experiment around sacred economics. And for those of you who don't know what sacred economics is, it's giving and just trusting that things will flow. It's like this trust of flow and what's that called? Yeah, gifting economy, and there's a word I'm trying to think of, but anyway. And so I was doing this 1 month experiment of just giving my services, my time, my energy, without asking or expecting anything in return, or trying not to expect anything in return. Key word there. Anyway, so it was 3 men who inspired me to do the experiment I'm doing right now around money: Velcro Ripper, Ian McKenzie, and Charles Eisenstein. I need/want a man like that in my life. Someone who is doing something meaningful with their life for a cause that I totally believe in. I want to share and co-create my life with someone who shares the same values, visions, passions, and dreams. Someone to create magic with. I'll tell you about that later. To experience the magic that life has to offer. To weather the storms with, to explore new territory with, to laugh, cry, sing, dance, and make love with. Oh yeah, I remember another thought that arose during my walk, something about not feeling worthy or deserving of a partner. Where does this shit come from? Why would I deny myself that which I most desire? Oh yeah, and then I had the thought that perhaps I do need to learn a lesson first. I need to learn to be happy and content in myself before I can be with another. But come on, what if that's a mission impossible? I know tons of people who are in relationship and who haven't achieved full self-fulfillment and self-realization. What if that's the limiting belief that's getting in my way? That perfectionist part of me that feels I need to have it all together first. Maybe. I just had the thought that nobody should need to have to earn love. I don't need to prove myself to deserve to be loved. That's proof right there that the thought I need to learn a lesson first is false. I definitely call bullshit on that one. I am deserving of love right now, just as I am. Yeah, that's a big one. Good to expose that puppy. I am lovable. I deserve love just as I am. I am worthy of love. I love to give and receive love. I was born to love. I am love. Wow, I was having a big epiphany at this time. Please, God, let this stick this time. I open the floodgates of my heart to give and receive love endlessly without limit. My purpose on this planet in this life is to love. I am a lover. I live to love to live. That's my motto. Time to live up to it. Walk my talk. Okay, stop being hard on yourself, Shaeah. You've been doing that. You are just reaching another level, breaking through a little dam that was created around your heart. Remember, the journey is about ever expanding my capacity to love. It's a journey, not a competition. Just keep doing your best. Trust yourself. Trust in life. Trust in God, Spirit, the divine, the universe, what have you. This reminds me of something else that came to me while I was at the beach, that I need to remember to trust and have faith. I know when I get too much in my head, I start to doubt and question my life. And that's when I need to remember to come back to my heart and trust. And then as I say that, I am remembering that the heart and the mind are supposedly one and the same. If so, then why are they so often, or at least seem to be, in conflict with each other? Another one of life's mysteries. With that, I'll bid you adieu and good night. That was apropos. So I just wanted to share this inside joke around meeting a man to share magic with in my life, because the summer after I completed this book, but it wasn't in print yet. Was it? No, because it came out last summer, I went to a friend's wedding, and it was a beautiful ceremony in July, sunny and gorgeous, and like these orchards of kiwis, and we were doing these toasts of champagne to celebrate, just the after reception before the dinner. And I'm mingling, and I meet this group of people that look pretty cool, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm Shaeah, and this guy goes, I'm Magie. And I'm like, oh, Magie, as in magic? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, maybe there'll be some magic tonight. And then later, before the dinner, my friend and I there's this circle of, like a little Stonehenge circle of rocks on this property. It was on the property of the couple who were getting married. They had this special circle of rocks, like a mini Stonehenge, and Danielle, my friend, was like, come, let's do a ceremony, a ritual to call in our beloved, because we had just seen the couple and his love for her, and we're like, oh, we want that. And so we went to the circle of these rocks in the very center, and we did this ritual of like, okay, we call forth our beloved, to a man who will love us as deeply and profoundly and be as devoted to us like Louis is for Rachel, and we're, we were in it, we're totally feeling it. And then on the dance floor, this guy, Magie, starts flirting with me and like getting all like, I'm like, what? I don't know. And I was being all hard to get, because I'm shy. I know it's kind of hard to believe, but I do get shy. And anyway, to make a long story short, he happens to be here this evening because he's my partner. Yay, Magie! And he is magic, and we do share a lot of magic together. So I just thought I'd open it up to if you have any questions or anything you'd like to share. Yeah. Anyone?
Do you think you'll write another book?
Well, oddly enough, I was like, oh, there's another book that wants to come called Money, Men, and Magic. And I have started it, but it's still percolating. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, Dan.
Yeah, as I thumb through the book, there's something that resonates, because I've journaled for 44 years, and I haven't seen it written anywhere else. So it's like, oh my gosh, I bought the book already. I recommend it.
Thank you.
And there's something, a way that you not only have access and articulate, but you engage with yourself in a kind of inquiry that I recommend and that I enjoy. And you make reference, and doing that kind of work you're an exemplar of where one gets doing this kind of work. And I'm saying I think it's important that you make reference to some of those deeper or difficult times. And in terms of us publishing that part of ourselves, I'm wondering if there's one of those that comes to mind that you might want to talk about that would help people identify with that. I guess how I saw that in my life, I had a friend who was stopped from suicide, and I asked some friends that had been to that edge to write about it, and having been through it and writing about it, oh my gosh, it both affected her, but the places they went reflecting about, talking about those deep places. So I'm just saying, hey, as pioneers and edge workers, I think it's important that we talk about it so that other people can know that how to do it, or that there are people who do it, or that we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
That's my important.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Well, it's interesting that you should say that because that's a big part of my journey is facing depression and living with depression, but not really knowing that I was actually suffering from depression. But that part of the work was like coming to understand it, or like coming out of the hiding about it, the shame around these darker feelings and these feelings of isolation and separation, and because there's so much like stigma around these darker places, those shadow sides of us, and I feel like it's really important to be able to talk about these things, and for me it has been extremely healing and liberating and empowering to be able to speak about it. And I know it's been good for I feel part of me as I was writing this was writing this for my family and my friends so that they could understand me more fully, because there's this whole internal world that people don't see or understand because I didn't know how to share it, and writing was the only way I knew how to share it. And then part of my intention of that was to give other people permission and inspiration to be able to share and reveal those parts of themselves too. Yeah, and to open up the dialogue, because because of this book, and also because of recent events in my life that a lot of you know about, but not everyone maybe. There's been I feel like the deepest, most authentic relating with my family and my friends than I've ever experienced in my life. And I don't think it would have happened without this book and without, taking myself to those edges and a little too far beyond sometimes. But it's part of that trust that everything has to happen for a reason. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? We'll take one more question or comment. Yeah?
Oh, I'm just hoping or presuming that then you'll read again. There's something about when you read it, it's completely lights up what is, it doesn't, on the page it's one thing, but to see you read it more objectively than you probably wrote it is a fascinating,
Okay, great. Well, that's the thing. I open it up and see what the energy wants, and there you go. So spontaneously creating the moment. Page number, please.
33.
33. One of my favorite numbers. Okay. So dyad is the lesson of this chapter. So dyads are a formal model for communication in which one person is the listener. Did you say it 33, Darshan?
No.
Who was it? Oh, Claudia. I was like, that would be funny. Dyads are a formal model for communication in which one person is the listener and one person is the speaker. The listener listens without making any comments or judging in any way. When the speaker is done, the listener says thank you, and the roles reverse. It is a powerful and effective way to move through the different layers of the mind to bring ideas, concepts, and beliefs to consciousness and to access one's own inner wisdom and truth. And dyads are amazing. I just want to go off on a little bit. My partner Maji and I do a dyad every week. Every week we do a dyad about tell me something about this past week, and so we get to process and mine the gems of the week, or get better understanding, deeper understanding of each other. And then we say, tell me something about this upcoming week and how I can support you. So then we can clarify our intentions for the week, our desires, and know how we can be there for each other. And it's just, I feel, an important, really essential piece in the magic and connection and solidity of our relationship. So, February 23rd, I just got home from picking up my mom. So this is after I've been looking after her place and I've started the book. This is about a week after I've been writing the book. We've had a full day of running around the big city of Grand Prairie to get all our supplies for the week. Did I mention that my mom's place is in the boonies? She lives at the end of a dead-end road with the nearest neighbor at least a 30-minute walk away, and the nearest town a 20-minute drive. It's a very special place. I'm pretty wiped and not even sure what to say, but I'm keeping to my commitment of writing 30 minutes a day, so here goes. Let me pause and take a few minutes to tune in and to reflect on my day. I close my eyes and take a few deep breaths. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Okay. I can't concentrate, sorry. Okay. I can't concentrate because my mom is talking on the phone to my grandpa, who just had an operation on his penis, and she's laughing at his stories about his experience. Penis humor. He's just about to turn 90. He's a real character. More active than most 20-year-olds. He still drives, walks a lot, loves to play games, and loves to dance. He even still makes things like tin men out of old cans and wooden signs and animals. My mom's garden is full of them. There's this lovely picture of my mom's garden. You can look at it. Every time I talk to him, he says he's keeping busy and gotta keep going. His theory is that if he stops, he will seize up and won't be able to get up again. Always a big kidder. He lives on white bread, potatoes, meat, coffee, and sweets. He's skinny as a stick and has more energy than most people. He and my grandma, when she was alive, were the living version of the nursery rhyme, Jack Sprat, ... He threw himself his own 90th birthday party, hired his favorite band, and danced the night away. He told me he had a really great time. One of my regrets is that I didn't make it to that party. I had an event to work at that weekend, and at the time, my contract was up for only 7 events a year, and I couldn't afford to miss it. But if I'd really wanted to, I could have made it happen, of course. How often does your grandfather turn 90 and throw his own party? Oh well, live and learn. My mom just shared with me that the first night he was home after the surgery, he was having complications and couldn't pee. He was in a lot of pain and had plans to go to the hospital the next day. But he says in the middle of the night, a ghost doctor threw him out of bed. And while he was lying on the floor, he passed a blood clot. So he didn't have to go back to the hospital. I said it was probably Grandma. They both got a chuckle out of that. Oh, now she's on the phone with Motormouth. Motormouth is a name for my Aunt Brenda. You would have heard about her earlier in the book. I can see this may be challenging to write now that she's home. That's okay. Tests of commitment are good. Have to be willing and able to work under all conditions, right? Speaking of commitment, I did a dyad with my friend Theda during my hour-and-a-half drive to Grand Prairie. We worked on Tell Me Why You Believe You Don't Have What It Takes. The night before, during a coaching conference call for social entrepreneurs who want to grow their business, I had identified this as one of my core beliefs. The dyad was awesome. I love dyads. I became clear that the main reason I hold the belief that I don't have what it takes are due to the lack of confidence in myself, my pattern of self-sabotage, my cycle of depression, and the fact that I compare myself to others. I think that where I am at is insufficient or less than, and it means that I am a failure. By the last round of the dyad, I actually felt that I don't hold that belief anymore, and that, as I mentioned earlier, I am just a late bloomer. Just because others of my age have accumulated a lot more than I have doesn't mean my path is worse or wrong. I am a unique being, and I am finding my way. In fact, deep inside, I always knew I would come into my own. Who knows? I could be wrong, and I may die destitute, but I have an inkling that won't be the case. Time will tell. Someone's calling for one more. Really? Consensus? Another one, or should we go into music?
126.
All right, 126. I'll make this one a shorter one.
No, it's great.
Okay, I'm being
Do you
shy.
guys like it? Are you enjoying it?
Oh, this one's a good one. This is Israel. Okay, this is a good one. I mean, they're all good. Okay, they're all good. I'm just having my deservingness, worthiness issues come up. Okay. Thanks, you guys, for being here. You're really great. You're making it really, really enjoyable. And yeah, I was really nervous, and you're so wonderful to see all your beautiful smiling faces. Yay, thank you. Okay, so April 19th, Israel. I'm in Jerusalem with my family, Dad, my second mom Marilyn, and my brother Jonah. It's Holocaust Memorial Day. We spent the day at the Holocaust Museum, the largest in the world. It was a deeply moving and humbling experience. I felt sick to my stomach and moved to tears within the first 10 minutes. It's a national holiday that starts on the eve at 5 p.m. At that time, we were in the old city and had just left the Wailing Wall. As 5 o'clock approached, the temperature dropped significantly and a howling wind blew through the city. The sky darkened with ominous clouds and the weather reflected the mood of the moment, as if God was letting us know he was there. At 10 a.m. on the day of Holocaust Memorial, a siren sounds and everyone stops and stands in silence. The entire country. Even people driving their cars stop where they are, get out and stand with their heads down, remembering and honoring those who suffered. It was a profound moment. We were walking on the street when it happened. Our plan was to already be at the museum, but we got lost. We were meant to be on the street. It was more profound that way, seeing how the whole city just stops. It was incredibly moving to bear witness to be a part of, and to experience an entire nation standing together for 2 minutes in silence. It made me wonder that if an entire country can stop, be still, and pray, why couldn't entire continents, or even the entire world, unite to stop and take a stand for world peace? I recall a moment during a landmark seminar in which I stood up and made the declaration that I take a stand for world peace, and most everyone in the room stood with me. If more of us did that, wouldn't it spread? While I was in the museum seeing the images of starving people, I also thought of my crazy idea that I had about a world hunger strike. When I had this idea, my boyfriend at the time thought I was crazy and was quite disturbed by it. But I still think that it could be a viable solution or catalyst for world peace, and that if enough people got on board with the mission, the world would be forced to take notice and take action. My idea was to start a world hunger strike until all of the terms of our requests were met, such as the end of all war, all toxins forbidden, the end of injustice, clean water, and food for all, etc. Just small little things. So many people just stood by and allowed the Holocaust to happen. How is standing by and allowing all of the injustice that is happening in the world right now any different? How can I continue to justify going about my life knowing that thousands or probably even millions of people are suffering unnecessarily? There must be a way to stop it, or at the very least to lessen it. It seems so obvious, so simple really, and yet as I say that I know it's not. In fact, I recall moments in the Holocaust Museum when I felt irritated or even angry at people for being in my way or for being loud. I recognized it and immediately shifted my thoughts, but I still had them. No matter how hard I tried to be a good person, I still have nasty thoughts. That was part of my prayer at the Wailing Wall, to release any ill thoughts towards others or myself, to find peace in my own heart, and then of course that all beings find peace, freedom, and happiness. Am I too naive? No, it's important. I need to keep having hope in humanity. Or perhaps I'm delusional. There seems to be so much evil in the world, especially when I watch TV or listen to the news. I start to become present to how the human mind can work, how sick and twisted it can be, how malicious. And yet I can't understand it. I don't understand how people can wish for, or even worse, take action against others. Why are we made that way? Why do we have that capacity? For what purpose? It was appalling to see, read about, and listen to what happened during World War II. Unbelievable. It's a side of humanity I haven't wanted to really look at or accept. In fact, I've spent most of my life avoiding it. That's why I don't pay attention to the news. That's why I've never owned a TV. I find it all just too disturbing, unnerving, depressing. My family has always accused me of living in a bubble, and they are right. I just thought it was better to focus on what is good. Focus on what I want. But maybe it has made me too complacent. Perhaps it is better to know, to feel, to see, to hear about all of the pain, injustice, hardship that others are experiencing. Perhaps that would evoke more from me. Avoiding it hasn't seemed to help anyway. I still experienced years of depression and despair. I thought it was exposing myself to the happenings of the world that aggravated my despair and made it worse. But maybe I had it all wrong. Perhaps it would have broken the spell and impassioned me to be more proactive and take more of a stand. Perhaps it still could. My grandmother was a survivor of the Holocaust. My dad, brother, sister, and I wouldn't be alive if she hadn't had the will to survive those atrocities. I owe my life to her spirit and her will to live. It is my responsibility and duty to honor that, to keep her spirit alive. So ending on a bit of a more heavier note, but in a way it seems almost appropriate, just to, keep it real. Keep it real. And, maybe we could just take a moment actually and close our eyes or keep them open and just take a few deep breaths together and just breathe into our hearts and feel into the hearts of others and send out our own personal prayer of peace and well-being for ourselves and for each other and for the world. Thank you, everyone. And life isn't easy, and there are lots of challenges out there and lots of things that are hard to accept. And that's why it's so precious to be a part of such an incredible community as Cortes and Hollyhock, and to have such beautiful people to remind us how precious life is. And one of those people, of course, is Theda, which will be bringing you more music shortly. So let's just take a few minute break. No? Okay. Okay. So thank you so much, and I'm here if you want to ask me questions or talk to me about my book. My book is for sale. It's $25, and I'd be happy to sign it for you. And we have CDs for sale too. Theda and I did a CD together. It's me guiding a yoga class, and she plays crystal bowls and has her amazing voice on it. So it's a really beautiful CD if you want to do yoga at home. And she has some jewelry, and and yes, and there's some cookies that Helmut and Trudy brought. So please feel free to stay after this. Anyway, join us for some music.
So I'll just play, before we break, I'll just do like 2 or 3 more songs, and then we can mingle and party. And does that sound good to you guys?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Okay. Great. Thank you. I love you. Wonderful. So what Shaeah was just reading and talking about reminded me of a couple of my songs that I wanted to share, because I love doing music that supports and emphasizes the message of speakers or authors. I'll sing in conjunction with people, and I love how music can deliver a similar message but in a different way.
Make the changes in this world, answering the call to protect this beautiful planet and the dignity of all.